welcome to Midnight Slumber. I am your host, Zach Miller. Join me as we take a journey through the alternate realities that take place after midnight. Waking up in the morning can sometimes be rough, especially if it's earlier than normal. In this story, a man is struck with fear as his basic routine is thrown off. Enjoy this story called Coffee. Calm water washes gently against my skin. It's refreshing my aching joints as I recline on this bright orange float. Stars brightly shine, reflecting off the dark surface of the ocean, making the night sky seem endless. Laying on my back, I see no moon, but I get the sense that the moon is afraid of something, so it is in hiding. A small wave gently nudges my float, followed by something rough bumping my feet. I freeze up, startled by this sudden interruption. The black water doesn't allow for me to see what lies just underneath the surface. As my feet continue to dangle in the water, I feel extremely vulnerable since my hands and backside are also resting in this darkness. I am in an inner tube after all, so there's not much protection. I try to maneuver around on it, but the tube starts to tip over at my frantic movements. Stopping immediately and letting the raft come back to a resting position, I prevent my moronic self from falling in. It also doesn't help that I have now created waves by splashing around. I take in a deep breath and gently roll myself over until I'm flat on my stomach. Slowly pushing myself up, I stand on my 2 feet looking down into the darkness below me. No sign of any life underneath, just a false night sky looking back at me. Looking around, the color of the water is slowly getting brighter, and I can feel the warmth of the sun as it rises. Just as the sun peeks over the horizon, I catch a glimmer of something swimming towards me. A great white shark lunges out of the water and chomps down on the float. I manage to jump out of the way and dive into the water as the float pops behind me. The once warm water is now scalding hot. The sun is barely peeking through, and I can see the shark still thrashing around, tearing the float to shreds. Under this brown hue of water, a shadow passes over me. A piece of floating debris is quickly moving by. I swim up to it and pull myself out as fast as I can. As I now lay on this chunk of broken wood, the cool wind feels wonderful against my seared skin. Taking in a deep breath, I begin to cough as I have swallowed some of the water. A strong, bitter taste hits my tongue, and then I smell it. The ocean smells heavily of roasted coffee. Now that the sun has fully risen, I can tell that I am not in the ocean, but in a giant cup of coffee. From one horizon to the next, I can see a white rim that is containing all this liquid. Lifting myself up to get a better view of my surroundings, more sharks are appearing and heading in my direction. A few sugar cubes slowly melt nearby, and just below them, I can see something swirling up from the depths. Massive tentacles emerge from the coffee and pull the sugar cubes down. Suddenly, the ocean begins to shake, knocking me off my feet. Hot splashes of coffee hit my raft, and I turn over to protect my face when I see what made the ocean shake. It is one ugly, wart-covered giant getting ready to devour us all for his morning breakfast. A family vacation to the beach usually means sunshine, sand, and a lot of sunscreen. On this vacation, they find something unusual that changes everything. Enjoy the story, Beach Cove. The ocean breeze gently pours in through the wide open patio doors. The white curtains slowly sway, saying bye as my family carries a big wicker basket of food and towels out down to the beach. Our condo backs right up to the sandy shore, making access to our favorite spot easy. I step out to admire the view, and I am greeted by the cool shade that is being created by the massive concrete overhang that extends out from the deck above. Even though it's someone else's deck, it allows for us to have a wonderful social area if it ever starts to rain. With it being the dead of summer and just after breakfast, there are already tons of people out here enjoying the wonderful weather. It's no surprise that we are having a slightly hard time navigating to our normal spot. On the way there, a woman rushes in front of me, dragging her whining kid behind as he tries to eat his ice cream. I watch as his blue ice cream falls to the sandy ground, melting into nothing more than a blue liquid on the way down. This annoying kid now yanks his arm away from her, and I take a step back knowing this kid is about to scream his head off. To my surprise, the dad runs in, covering his mouth and carrying him off with his mom. I'm amazed at how fast and perfectly timed that was. I look around to see if I'm being filmed on some prank TV show. But no, that dad just has fast reflexes. Continuing, I now try to find my family, and I see them setting up the tent and towels just off to my right. They have managed to find a more secluded spot than we normally would go to. They've set up in between two massive rocks, which are creating a little hidden cove for us to swim in. Even from the shoreline, I can see colorful shells and fish taking residence in this area. Standing on the shoreline, I see a bright green and red shell out in the water. I take out my longboard and paddle across the crystal clear water. The rocks have provided a shelter for everything in here. There is no floating trash or gross seaweed that you must normally swim through. Everything is pristine. Brightly colored fish swim by, curious as to what I am and why I am here. They are swimming right up to my board. They are so close, I can even see each of their individual scales. I reach out to touch them, but they're not curious enough to let me do that. As the fish start off, I lower myself in and begin to dive down to get the shells. Swimming downward, a turtle the size of me swims by. I grab hold of its shell, and it takes me down to the sandy bottom where the shells are laying. I marvel at their brilliance. Pulling them out of the ground, they shine even more intensely in the light. They are not like the regular shells. They are clear and made from emeralds and rubies. Running out of air, I swim upwards frantically to catch my breath. Breaking the surface, I can see my wife and kids building a sandcastle. My parents and in-laws chat and laugh as they converse in the shade, but no one notices me waving my hands with the shells in them. Swimming back towards them, the ocean waves seem determined to keep me here. Up ahead is a donut-shaped pink coral reef blocking my way to shore, and it wasn't there before. I dive down to swim through it, and I can feel the water pulling against me. Its grip is tight and unrelenting, but I fight it. And once through, I can feel the grip of the ocean fade away. However, just as I am exiting the water, a small baby shark swims by, and I know it is a warning to return the shells. But I am so mesmerized by how they shine in the light that I keep on walking. I walk over getting ready to show my family what I have found when a massive wave slams down on the other side of the beach. Looking to see if everyone is okay, the people who were once over on that side are now gone. The sandbar that used to be just offshore has been ripped in half. Again, another wave comes crashing in, and this time it grabs me, pulling me into the ocean. As I struggle to dig my fingers into the sand, I see that my family is fine and completely oblivious to what is going on. The wave pulls me under, tossing and turning me over and over until I slam into a massive pile of sand. Catching my breath, I am now on that broken sandbar. Around me is a mix of ocean and swamp. Trees are rising out of the murky water off to my right and behind me. The rest of the ocean has a rotted wooden fence blocking off the way back to shore. I am boxed in by this fence and surrounded by alligators ready to devour me if I try to make a break for it. Either I drop the shells or I fight my way to shore. However, the joke is on the ocean, as I have already tossed the shells on top of my family's sandcastle. Thank you for listening to tonight's episode. Please leave a comment and check out our social media on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We would love to hear your thoughts of tonight's episode. I'm your host, Zach Miller, and thanks for listening. Have a good midnight slumber.